fair attempt, R10. Hopefully, we can bring you back. We can listen to your set later on. And as always, big shout out to Dragonate for bridging the gap between R10 and Fox Yoga in that pre-whip session. Also, hope everyone's having a bunch of fun marbling Pepe.WTF. It was fun to check that out earlier. If you don't know who this is Matthew, aka Nifty Time. Welcome back to, I think it's season 29 of the WIP. We had a little vacation last week. Rizzo had a little bit of a Euro trip. Really excited to be back here. We're breaking other virtual worlds right now. We're in the open metaverse on top of the roof. If everyone's not there, just check out the general chat here, click these coordinates, toggle to multiplayer, and enter the open metaverse. We're switching things up a little bit today. Instead of having 3 separate speakers, we're going to try to do a panel. We have 3 amazing individuals with us today that are either building the open metaverse, we're thinking about key aspects of the open metaverse, like decentralized identity, we're creating already in the open metaverse as an artist. So really excited to get into discussion about the open metaverse with these 3 individuals. Before we do that, really stoked to have my dude Rizzle back stateside with us. And I know he has some updates before we get into the panel. So no need to delay any further. Let's bring the Hype Master back and let's get things started. So Rizzle, whenever you're ready, dude, unmute and take it away.
Yo, thank you, man. I did a mic check before this time, if anyone was here a couple of weeks ago, for me being rugged by my own microphone setup. Y'all can hear me, right? Can I get like an affirmative in the chat, please? Oh, thank God. All right, cool. Yo, yes, miss you guys for real. I feel like it's been like 6,000 crypto years since we hung out. I was in Spain hosting a conference and was showing the WIP, so I feel like I should give you, right? It's been forever. So I feel like I should give you like a little bit of a recap of the thing, and they were hyped to hear about the WIP. The conference was much different than NFT NYC. It was way smaller, and people like actually showed up to listen to the thing. I like welcomed everybody and spoke and did like Q&A and everything. Met a bunch of OGs that I've never got a chance to meet in real life, but I have known since we were just young children in the NFT space. Hung out with Skeeny. Skeeny's in the house right now. Gave my wife and I a tour of Madrid on our last day there. Renil, Toxam, like so many awesome people. I believe Toxam's in the house today as well. Going to give us an update on Megacube, which I think is dropping tomorrow. So it was awesome. It was a ton of conversation about like interoperability and open metaverse. Skeeny was like running Beer Mule, like snagging beers off the clock from Decentraland on the 3rd floor and like running them down to me while I was hosting. Skeeny dude, they welcomed me back. So we're gonna do it again next year, I guess, and they want me to host it again. So my us like partying in the back, like while I was simultaneously hosting the event, seemed to have gone over well enough that I'm gonna be there doing it again. Yeah, man. So if y'all are anywhere near Spain around this time next year, come hang out with us. Skeeny knows where to get the beer. Also used it. I know a lot of people here have on-chain chains. Talked to a lot of people about working that into their stuff. I'm excited to show you all what I've been cooking up with that. If y'all got a chain or have a chain and have not hit Brookhawk up for the CV, the free CV version, make sure you do that. We'll get you some details on that, or hit me up and we'll figure it out. So you can wear the chains, and that'll continue to expand. Totsam's project Megacube, WIP and Meme and On Chain are all sponsoring Megacube, along with like a whole other list of really awesome projects, trying in the spirit of open metaverse decentralization, trying to support other projects that have that same like ethos and spirit in mind. Skeeny, yes, Skeeny knew where all the proper Madrid food was at. It was incredible. Um, Shout out to the crew as always for making this happen every single week. We only take 1 week off every like now and then. So yes, this is 29 season 29 J Platypus or something like that. The Power Whip girls and the crew: Sandy Meows, Carolina Duff, Foxy Yoga, Easy, Paradox, Show, Timmy, Dragonate, Musashi, Conwolf, the Stowaway. Whatever, I forget what Brookhawk needs some like Wu-Tang name. I don't know if we like totally sorted it out, but when it happens, we'll all know what it is. He wanted to be like a stowaway too, but we only have one stowaway, so we gotta figure out how to knight him into the equation with like a proper whip fam name or something. So I'm going to explain how this is going to work today, since we're going to do a slightly different format. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to kick. I'm going to shut up and we're going to stop running my mouth. I'm going to kick this thing off in a minute. Make sure you hop in world with us. I know it's not CV or what we're used to, but this is Punk. Let me get the numbers right. Punk 6529's Spot, who is a huge supporter of the open metaverse, despite not being in our immediate circle. This is someone that shares our same ethos and mentality, and are trying to support what they're doing as well. So hop in world and show your support. What we're going to do is it's going to be like roughly 45-minute panel. We're going to do brief intros in just a second here. We've got some specific questions for each panelist, but want to encourage all the panelists to just sort of chime in on all the things, genuinely interested in everyone's perspective on the panel. They all come from slightly different angles, but again, have the same type of ethos in mind. Panelists, please try and keep your answers tight so we can keep the conversation moving. At 2 minutes, the shot clock will go off. It will be enforced. You'll know it when it happens. It's like a shot clock of love. We're not like really serious about it. Just like, trying to keep a tight panel and keep the thing moving. So don't be afraid. So our panelists today, we got Jin, aka Dankvr, Evin, aka Proven Authority, Stellabelle, aka Stella X in the chat box, a bunch of super OG open metaverse pioneers who have no consistency across their screen names, as a lot of us do. I say this as Rizzle, aka NFT Land. So yeah, if we can, I guess we're going to kick this thing off. So make sure you hop in world, stick around afterwards. We got Paradox in the house. We're going to take a group photo of us as coins and not dancing. The world is cool. Not feeling the lack of chicken dance or like any sort of ways to do things other than like hitting spacebar and blasting off into orbit and then having to refresh your thing. Anyway, we're all like trying to make the open metaverse better, right? That's what we're here for. So we're just gonna sort of go around the horn. Actually, I love the layout of the WIP promo thing, how it just sort of had everyone's names in order of like smallest to largest. It just like looked very aesthetically pleasing on the whoever did the WIP banner. I think Matt's doing the WIP banner. Find out. Yeah, nice dude. Love it. Matt should be low-key minting these things. Okay, anyway, go around the horn here, maybe like 1-2 minutes each, just brief intros. We'll go Jin, Evin, and then Stellabelle. So Jin, man, if you want to just, for anyone who's been living under a rock and doesn't know who any of these people are, maybe just a brief intro on how you got Stellabelle. Sorry, Stellabelle. I don't know. Stellabelle, it just rolled. I know this, but it just rolls off my tongue like not the wrong way or right way. So anyway, I'm going to shut up. Jin, man, if you can hear me and you want to unmute, just give people a brief intro and then we'll pass the mic right around the horn.
Cool. Yeah, sup. I've basically been interested in open source, digital freedom, decentralization. Most of my life, I got into VR in the early days, like around 2013, and as well as crypto around the early 2010s. And really interested in building the next version of the internet. So I took the hard path of like taking that, literally building them in web-based virtual worlds mostly. And I do a lot of R&D with in avatar research, avatar entrop, make wearables, and with Metafactory, and I'm building a virtual production crew to create cinematic content about all these internet communities, projects, NFTs, etc. So that's me. I work in public, and so all my research is pretty much open source.
Jin, I don't know if you know this or not, man, but I actually linked people to all of your stuff. I was giving a presentation on the Metaverse, so sent a bunch of stuff your way. Nothing, yeah, king of the Metaverse, seriously. Evin, you want to do an intro?
GM DGens, my name is Evin McMullen, and I lead the charge at Disco, and you can always visit us at disco.xyz. So like Jin, I fell down the rabbit hole a little over a decade ago. I came up in free and open source software communities, super hyped by Creative Commons licenses and the legal wrappers we can use to make data more free. Was really involved in Students for Free Culture, and that is around when I discovered Bitcoin as a censorship resistant network. So after kind of seeing it live play out in history, examples like the Arab Spring and even the recent election, so much of my work is sort of focused on human-centered design and how we show up in digital spaces, how we curate our presentation of self in persistent digital environments. So for the last 4 years or so, I've worked on identity in the Web3 environment. So what does it mean to assert ourselves as businesses, as individuals, as fans, as more than financial entities? And so at Disco, we are building your identity for the metaverse. We are building your private data backpack so that you can own and control the data that describes you, just as you own and control your tokens. And our definition of the metaverse at Disco is your ability to show up in any digital or physical environment and receive a personalized experience as a result of the parts of yourself that you choose to share. Because you are the shining center of the party, so you should reflect your data and your identity to the world however you decide. Right, you should be the expert on yourself, not some random dude who made an app that you use sometimes. So we're really excited to be bringing these experiences to everybody on this call and all of your friends very soon, and really stoked to be here today. So thank you so much for inviting me into this conversation.
Yo, thank you. Honestly, this is like a sick panel we've managed to put together here. Stellabelle, not to be confused with Stellabella. If you get a DM from Stellabelle, it's some imposter trying to rug you. You want to do Stellabelle's like my friend I go way back with. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking. Stellabelle, you want to give an intro?
Oh my God, I love when I found you on Twitter. I was like, someone who speaks their mind and is not afraid of the masses anymore. Like, okay, so I'm kind of all over the map, but I just wanted to let people know this is my claim to fame. Anyway, in 2016, I found Bitcoin, and I found this decentralized social media platform called Steemit. Quickly became a whale. I had the #1 reputation higher than Dan Larimer. But anyway, I thought to myself, my God, what can I build? So I wanted to build a Creative Commons crypto artist collective, which basically no one at that time was doing much with CCO or Creative Commons or crypto art or anything like that. So I built the Slothicorn, which is on the Steem blockchain. And what we did was my group, we curated all the artwork that we would find out on Steemit. Steemit was a blog, which was a monetized social media platform. In 2018, we actually paid out $50,000 to artists, and this is pre-NFT days. So we were doing something that was happening before NFTs really existed. But my group also educated people about crypto kitties, crypto punks, curio cards, and all the stuff that was going on, super rare. So my place was like part education and part monetization, giving crypto art or artists the toolkits they needed to understand the whole crypto world at the time, which is totally different from now. So that was the start of it. I got into designing crypto puzzles and things on my own based on research of the early pioneers of crypto art were coin artists I thought, in my world, she was number one because she was doing things that no one was really doing at the time, hiding money in art. And that's actually, we were giving away money in artwork at the time, building these puzzles and stuff. Okay, so fast forward a little bit now. My project is CCO again. I went into crypto art like 100% in 2020, and as you know, it's a very different thing as to what's going on now. But anyway, what I want to say is that I believe open source and Creative Commons is the way to go. It is a defining philosophical foundation for myself, and I feel like the open metaverse needs to have open source as its foundation going forward. I guess I'll end with that. I'm an artist and a writer and a community builder. So anyway, I'm really excited about learning these new metaverses, webaverses. I've been studying that all day. It's fascinating. So I'm glad to know that there's some people involved with that. Emotional. I saw your video today. So anyway, let's stop with that.
Oh yeah. Excited to talk about all the verses today, and maybe to kind of kick things off, because like the term the metaverse is something that most people are just hearing for the first time or using without really maybe defining for themselves. Perhaps everyone up here on the panel could kind of dive into like how they think about the metaverse, and then from there talk about like what is like the open metaverse and why are we seemingly so positive on that versus like closed metaverses. Just to kick things off to maybe help, I always like to define the metaverse as any digital space where we live, work, and play. I say digital just because it's a little bit broader than, like, for example, like these virtual worlds. I feel like even something like Twitter, where some people, not all users, actually live there, they're doing a lot of work there, and they're getting a lot of enjoyment. It is, in my eyes, almost a precursor to like this more fully immersive metaverse that I think a lot of people are thinking about. But I don't know, I just want to start with Jin, and maybe we can go around the horn and ask you, like, well, how are you thinking about the metaverse? And then how do you then further differentiate between the open metaverse versus closed metaverses?
Yeah, I think, in sometime in the next 5 years at least, or at most, we're not going to really see these websites as flat pages anymore. I think, the medium is going to shape our perception of, how we interact with data and, each other. And the one way I like to differentiate the open metaverse with the metaverse is just kind of, I've got actually 5 kind of points. Like, number one, freedom of expression. So the ability to have your own custom avatars and worlds, not just like, the whatever the platform has for you, and you're stuck with that. Freedom, like the best example of that is VR chat, by the way. Freedom to transact, so neutral infrastructure for payments. Punk 6529 has a beautiful thread on the freedom of transactions. Recommend checking that out. Leveraging open standards and or open source. You need the ability to view the underlying source code to really trust it. And, the open standards also relates to the right of exit. So if this platform doesn't represent you or you want to move on to something else, the switching costs are pretty low so that you can bring your content from there to something else. And usually, it's like file formats and whatnot. And also having open source allows you better guarantees of privacy. Being able to like self-host the network stack, especially, because that is where, all the data, which is super valuable to us, is like, you want to be kind of in control of that, or at least have some like verifiability. And that's, I think that's top mindset for differentiating open versus closed. So expression, transaction, open standards / open source, the right of exit, and privacy. I'll just kind of like paste an image here that is it.
Nice. And as you're pasting that, Evan, how are you thinking about open versus closed metaverses? How are you defining that for yourself?
So my definition of the metaverse started a long time before this conversation, a long time before my love for decentralized networks. When I was a kid, I grew up watching cartoons like The Jetsons, and reading books like Ready Player One and Ender's Game, and that content informed my definition of the metaverse, as well as working on hardware innovation for consumer products and automotive. So the vision for what that metaverse can be and what we think about at Disco is your ability to show up into any physical or digital environment and receive a personalized experience as a result of the parts of yourself that you choose to share. And so what this means from an infrastructure perspective is that we are inverting the way that we treat data, so that instead of creating data in an app environment and splintering off that part of yourself, leaving that fractured expression of your being on the server side, instead you are capturing it on the client side, putting it into your data backpack, capturing the data, the work product that you generate as a result of your being. So when we think about what an open metaverse means, not only, and I absolutely love the suggestions that Jen made. I definitely agree that that from a technical perspective, your rights as an individual to expression and to evolution, to the ability to evolve and change your data is super critical. That is the crux of consent. Which is why, in our ecosystem, it is pivotal for us to have data beyond what exists on the blockchain, to have data that is private, that is not published globally, so that we can maintain that consent, that right of evolution. But I would sort of extend that to composability across sort of not only chain environments, but also across web environments. At Disco, we are chain agnostic, we are web agnostic, meaning that data generated in any context can be readily prepared for every context. And the opposite of that is very much what we're starting to see in like Facebook's Meta, in proprietary environments where the conditions of data capture are entirely known to and under the control of the enterprise that's providing the experience. And so by inverting the way that data is treated, by prioritizing consent of the user, then I think we can enjoy open metaverses that are truly composable, so that there is no horizon line. We can continuously build experiences upon one another, as opposed to ending up with yet another ecosystem of siloed environments.
And apologies for that rather
no worries.
accent.
I was like, wait a minute. And then I totally remembered you had said that. So my bad for going on. I get so excited talking about this stuff.
No, again, that's the pitfall here. It's so exciting. We just kind of get lost in everything. But no, I thought it was really short and tight. I didn't even think that it was long. Anyway, Stellabelle, we had a really cool chat yesterday. We were hanging out for like almost 2 hours here, just doing an audio chat.
God,
and
really?
We were talking about 3D websites. I'm just curious if you can unpack that and how you're thinking about the metaverse, open versus closed.
So yeah, I actually just think of the metaverse as a 3D website, and that the internet is going to be turning into a 3D environment where you interact and talk with people in more like real ways, I guess, than texting. But for my definition of the open metaverse, for me, so I'm primarily a creator, so that everything derives from that foundation. So for me, data privacy is a massive thing. It's probably the number one thing that I'm concerned with, simply because the data capture of the other giant corporations monetizing my social energy is how I describe it, like my art, my writing, my intellectual properties, and I just call it energy. This is a thing that creators, we don't want others profiting from that. And so so basically when you log into some place, I don't want someone capturing all of my data. So the meta thing is just forget about it. Like I'm you know, anything to get away from that model. So privacy, interoperability is very important too, because I mean, I've built so many different things, different places, and yet I don't have ownership over those things. So I want those things to be with me, the ownership. Like I created this stuff, it should be with me, with my, like my NFTs now can, you know, go with me to whatever platform I want to move to. So interoperability is massive. I think all the different metaverse 3D virtual worlds need to sit there and think about that and having them interoperate. Also, I am actually a fan of owning parcels and then selling them when I'm done playing. I feel like it solves the subscription model problem. I really hate subscriptions with a passion. I think that, you know, crypto voxels for me is good in some areas. And one is that owning a parcel means, hey, I have a place here, but, you know, there might become a day where I'm done playing and I sell my parcel. And so I think that for me, that's a good way to do it. I mean, I started also, I want to add this in there, that I did foresee a problem with is this pay-to-play model doesn't include everyone. So that's why part of my big focus has been on community collections, teaching, doing tutorials. So that allows anyone into the world, immediately they can start creating things that they wear, their own digital clothes that they can, so they can feel part of the world instead of trying to buy it and all this stuff. Like you want to try everything out in the beginning before you decide to go further. So I feel like all the worlds need to be more inclusive of that function. Trying things out, you should have the ability to create, and then you can decide, hey, do I really want to buy a place here or not? And I'll just end it with that. But open source I'm a huge fan of open source, and all the places really need to be open source in my opinion, because otherwise it's just not going to be as good. That's all. It's not going to be as robust, I should say.
I love that. And then I kind of want to jump right back to Jin. And since you've been building in the open and thinking and outsourcing your thoughts on what is needed for, in particular, like interoperable open metaverses, I'm just curious, because it still really is day zero in terms of building this all out. And in your perspective, like what is the number one or number two things that we need to see more of in this space in order to get to day one from day zero today and make a truly open metaverse reality?
I think we will need new shelling points. I think this is why I've been doing a lot more virtual production work, because a lot of people will, talk about, these metaphors when describing what the metaverse is and whatnot, and pointing to Ready Player One and Snow Crash, and it has a large effect on coordination, and coordination is like the metagame of building the open metaverse. You have all these different servers spinning up, trying to build different parts of it, and it is kind of like a trap because they kind of silo themselves. I think events are a great heartbeat to drive people together to kind of, share knowledge and what each other is working on, and so events are really useful. But yeah, I think like when it comes to really like showcasing what it can be, and also fulfilling the promise of NFTs being something that you truly own and you can bring with you across different worlds. If we can get import and export capabilities and platforms for VRM avatars, then we're gonna hit like really wide strides, and creating content, and also red pilling people. Like if it's kind of like a red pill moment when you own your first NFT, but it's a second red pill moment when you bring that from one world to the next, like especially your identity, your avatar. It hits different, and I want people to really experience that. VRM works on hundreds of different applications, including like YouTubing programs and whatnot. So it's not just for virtual worlds. It's something that you can use on Twitch live streams and Zoom calls, etc. So yeah, for people to experience that and for us to really align on these standards, GLTF and VRM are top two, in my opinion, for files like worlds and geometry, then people are going to experience that, demand it from other platforms. It just takes a number of players to interoperate to create the content and documentation for inspiring the rest.
And then, I mean, are there any other individuals that you would point to that are creating like compelling content in that vein? I feel like we've been such a small group of folks that have been trying to really rally folks to either come to the virtual events for a while or like spread the good word about interoperability and like who's doing good things. But who else besides like our tight circle should we be following that may not be like a household name?
One group that, because they're not really in Web3, is Open Metaverse Interoperability Group, OMI group on link it in chat. But they have a whole bunch of working groups and they do weeklies in which they do a lot of code. It's not like talking about stuff. They work on GLTF extensions and scripting, and they've been going on for 1 year. So like there's some groups on the outskirts that really contribute a lot to developing these things. They, are a W3C group and collab with Chronos group as well, which develops these standards. So yeah, shout out to them. They're doing some great work. And I think Blender, like if we really rally behind Blender, it is the nexus of creative workflows, but also for interop, like to convert models and avatars, like it is a indispensable tool.
Definitely. And I know that Johan had a bunch of questions, and I was turned on to Evin by Johan because we were thinking about who we could get to talk more about decentralized identity, because as we do kind of build out and work more in these open distributed worlds and systems, like the idea of identity is central there. So Johan, I know you have a bunch of questions for Evin, so take it away. And then whoever else, like if you hear any questions that resonate with you, like Jen or Stella, feel free to jump in and talk about what your thoughts are on identity and everything that we're doing.
Totally. What's up, everyone? So, Evin, I listened to you, I think it was a podcast, or it was a podcast, but I think it was Bankless, where you talked about decentralized identifiers. And I thought it was super interesting. It almost felt to me like we have NFTs in one end, and then we have decentralized identifiers as an equally important part of stored identity in some way, or stored experience. And so could you please talk a bit about it, what they are and why you think they're important?
Absolutely. I love this question. So when we think about the blockchain ecosystem, most folks immediately think of our two favorite crypto primitives, fungible tokens and non-fungible tokens. But a lot of people are not aware of the other two that we have hot and fresh out the kitchen from our friends at the W3C that Jen was given some ups to earlier. So decentralized identifiers and verifiable credentials are, as you know, two other units of atomic data that we can enjoy in Web3 that can interact with smart contracts and that can help to extend the capabilities of our existing key pairs in on-chain, interactions. Decentralized identifiers, to start, DIDs, are like aliases for our existing addresses. So think your Ethereum address, your Bitcoin address, Solana address, Polkadot address, email address, PGP key, website. All of these different identifiers now can have an alias so that they can all communicate together without need for translation or a bridge. So now with decentralized identifiers, we can have a group chat between a Bitcoin address, an Ethereum address, and an email address. No translation needed, no gas fees, all communicating at the speed of an API. So what's spicy here is that in Web3, when we get a key pair, we get our private keys for the first time through MetaMask or some other Web3 compatible wallet, we can publish data to the public chain, which means we make it public until the heat death of the universe to everyone on Earth and in space forever. But also with our key pair, we can have data that is private and known only to us, only to our keys. And now we can sign data that's both, public for everyone, private only to us, and we can explore the full spectrum in between of ways that we can share our data. Which means that, of course, it is, more logical and easy for users to accrue that data around themselves as opposed to leaving it in the places where they go on their metaverse adventures, right? We think that life is a giant LARP, and you need a loot bag to collect the awesome data that you create along the way. So your decentralized identifier is like your data backpack for the metaverse. It gets you ready, it gets your Ethereum address ready, your public address ready to capture data about itself as it goes along adventure so that you can own data in the same way you own tokens.
Totally, it's super fascinating. I saw some question in the chat where we've come so far without them. We totally have, but I think this is a great way to say everything that is personal, that doesn't have to be on chain. But I understand that it's a bit hard to think about. So Evin, are there any applications that are understandable today that you think they will enable in the near future?
And I want to address that note from the chat. I agree completely. There are a lot of ways to accomplish the basic tasks in our ecosystem, just as there are a lot of ways to open a bottle of wine. But we can use a blowtorch or we can use a corkscrew to open that bottle of wine. One's going to be elegant, clean, get us where we need to go. The other one is going to create a lot of mess. And so I think that's kind of where we are ending up right now. By utilizing things like NFTs, we are creating a bunch of scary, weird outcomes that we're going to have to contend with later on. And so when we think about initial use cases, things like membership in a community to attest to your membership in good standing is something that a lot of DAOs are requesting. So if you care about who is in your community, then membership to your community cannot have an unfettered secondary market, as we see with fungible and non-fungible tokens. So if membership in your community is constrained by abiding by community standards, then using credentials instead of fungible assets is a better way to command and control interaction and access to content. And I see a question here in the chat, how do we keep our DID safe? So not only is it important to keep your private keys private, but it's also important for you to have good OPSEC and rotate those keys regularly. So one thing that DIDs offer us that PGP keys in the 70s could not is the ability to rotate those keys.
Awesome.
Can I ask a question about? Can I ask a question?
Go for it.
I know. So yeah, in regards to this keeping them safe, what if? So in the case of someone gets a hold of your DID, your decentralized identity, how can you go into that a little bit? I mean, people get hacked all the time.
Sure, yeah. So this actually
is there biometrics involved with this, or
so it sounds like we're getting into a conversation about key management and recovery, which is actually not related to DIDs. It's related to the DIDs in the same way that it's related to your Ethereum keys, in the same way that it's related to your passwords today. So fortunately, because we have this raw cryptographic material, there are a lot of different solutions that we can explore. We can integrate biometrics. So if you're interested in that, in July, the Thoughtful Biometrics Conference from the Internet Identity Workshop will be defining the initial open standards around biometrics hardware and templates. So definitely encourage you all to explore that space. You can include things like off-chain private social recovery. So unlike the on-chain recovery that we see using gas with partners like Argent today, or parties like Argent today, rather, we can use things like, private delegates. But the nice thing, or the interesting opportunity here, is that key management is key management all the way down. However, at Disco, we're really excited about integrating biometrics and social recovery early next year. But that's very much focused on updates in cryptography as opposed to anything specific to the DID spec.
Cool. You touched upon it a bit there, but when do you think quote unquote normal crypto users can start using them in a meaningful way?
So we're really excited at Disco to probably the first week of June invite all of you to set up your Disco profiles and to begin issuing credentials to one another, to begin receiving credentials from the Web3 dApps that you know and love, and to begin unlocking privileges with your behavior instead of worrying about denominating things in tokens.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you. Super stoked to invite you guys to play with all of this stuff, and a few other mental models that I might throw out here. I would think of verifiable credentials as the digital form of those plastic cards that you have in your wallet that signal things like your membership, your achievements, your participation in communities. I would encourage one to think about the blockchain, public blockchains, as a scarce natural resource. We don't want to litter. We don't want to use the public chain for things that it's not optimized for. Public blockchains are optimal for data that has a double spend problem, that data that's appropriate to publicize to everyone on Earth and space till the heat death of the galaxy, and data that you need that requires constant availability. And if you don't need those things, you don't need a blockchain. And this is where verifiable credentials help us enjoy all the Web3 superpowers without the gas fees and platform lock-in of a specific chain.
Then for me, like the next line of thinking about outside of identity, outside of building like infrastructure, the open source kind of like frameworks for like these more open digital spaces is the role of the artist or the creator, whom I think in this most recent boom in NFTs, I really look back to them as the beating heart and the reason why everything has like bloomed and blossomed in the first place. And as we continue to expand into this future, I'm just curious from Stella's perspective, like as an artist, for like what are the opportunities that, like, if everything continues to go more or less well, like what are those opportunities presented to artists? And then at the same time, like what are some of the big risks that you think artists and creators may have to really pay attention to and look out for as the open metaverse grows? I'm sure hacks are going to come in there, but we talked about that a little yesterday, but I'm curious from your perspective.
So yeah, from a creator's perspective, it is true that most creators that I know, and myself included, is that it's almost like we don't have a choice but to create. Like that's kind of where our energy lies. And for me personally, I never set out to be like making gazillions of dollars from my creations. It's literally something I do almost in an unconscious way. It's a practice. So a lot of people are consumers of information, of trading, of buying stuff, reselling, that's a consumer. But if you're on the creator side, it's you get there was a writer that described this, and I just want to mention that there's a little being like on your shoulder that's constantly whispering to you. It's something that comes from within you. It doesn't have a wallet. It doesn't have it's almost like a muse, something that's constantly like eating at you and telling you what to do. And that's the creative spirit that is beautiful, because it's not a conscious being so much as like, oh, I'm going to make this and then make $1 million from it. It's something of a different caliber. And the more that the creators have control over setting the environments, the more beautiful the world is going to be, in my opinion. So the capitalists want to create a world, but it's the artists that give the life and the breath and the passion and emotion to where you actually feel something. And that's what my whole thing, basically all the stuff I've been working on my whole life, is about getting those people in control of creating environments. And it can be virtual environments or any kind of environment that humans exist in. It's going to need a passionate, creative vision, a visionary person to really make humans feel good about where they are. And we don't have this right now, in my opinion, but we have now, creators have all the opportunities if they begin to understand the coding, the machine learning, the AI. The crypto part is another huge aspect to it. So, I'm done. I wanted to go off on this tangent a bit. Anyway, creators need to understand crypto and decentralization, these principles, in order to fully go as far as they could. Okay. I'm done.
No, we should have given Skinny was like, give her a pass. We got a follow up too, I think, to that. There's so much fun stuff going on. I'm just curious, like, as an artist, like, in this crazy space, if you had to pick one thing that like really just excites you and you always keep thinking about and keep coming back, at least these days, like, what is your favorite part of this whole space today, currently? And I guess after that is like, well, what isn't 100% fully baked yet, and what do you kind of want to be super excited about heading forward?
Is a question for me exactly? I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Questions for me. Okay, so I'm really.
And then after that,
okay.
real quick, and just for everyone else in the audience, if you have any questions, tag show, and then we can transition to questions from the audience for our three speakers.
So one of the coolest things that I'm stoked on. Hold on, something. I'm gonna turn that off. So the breeding mechanics, the ability to breed things digitally, is still, for me, the first time I experienced that was with CryptoKitties, when I had a Dracula DNA in my kitty, and I was just dying to create more of those. I think that this whole breeding aspect is absolutely fascinating. So that's what I want to go into in my next project, because I don't know, like, there's something about knowing that you have a DNA strain within your digital object or your NFT that could be expressed later. To me, that captures like so many different possibilities for feeling. It's like mixing organic with inorganic things. Like you're inserting organic attributes. I don't think this has fully been explored. I think that there's so much room to grow this concept. And in fact, you could breed, your things with other people's things and stuff like that. So that's an area that I'm really like. We've just probably scratched the surface of that. I think it's going to be so amazing if we get a lot of these new concepts fully developed. And then just the other cool thing about now is that you can literally reach anyone, and all the barriers between buyers and collectors and artists, we can really get rid of those barriers now. I mean, I've met so many amazing collectors who I would have never met because they're on the other side of the planet. So the speed with which you can transact with a collector and they can have your art, this is unprecedented times, right? This has never been done before. We've never had this ability to be able to be so close with creators and collectors. So there's so much to be excited about. But I will say this, if you're not socially, like if you don't have a command over a platform, you're not going to make it. I know this sounds absurd, but it is being really shown to me that you have to have these social skills and the technical side down to be an artist now. It's not like the old days. It's not. This is a new paradigm. You have to have the technical stuff and the social stuff all in, and of course be a creator all in one thing. You're just not going to make it. Okay, that's my NG. Or, start getting teams and gangs, which is where I'm at. So Ghoulie and we're plotting our next moves. So, yeah, you got to team up, form gangs. That's my solution to everything right now. Squad up.
I think there's a lot of truth to the squad up part. I mean, we're sort of doing that with the communities that we kind of roll with. You can see and interpret, I think, like the whole NFT PFP kind of movement, like going in that direction, like solidifying those ties between people and groups a little tighter. Strength in numbers. It's like a tried and true kind of method for taking things over too. So I know there's a bunch of questions that have been popping up in the chat, and it seems like everyone's been trying to answer them in text. But Showman, I don't know if you've been able to gather any questions from folks, but if you have, yeah, let's hear them and let's toss them over to our panelists.
Hey y'all, how's my audio?
Lovely.
Cool. We have a question from Emmy Terrier. They would like to know, to any artist on the panel or in general, how do creators and artists feel about all the new creative ways that are being used by scammers to do bad things in relation to them, I'm assuming?
Okay, well, part of being in crypto for me personally, I've been rugged by people. I almost got, in 2017, actually, I was working with a hacker. I didn't know that they were a hacker, but they came into my community and to my Creative Commons crypto art community, Slothicorn, and started working for me. And literally, like the first day you get into crypto, you just suddenly become aware that there's literally hackers all around you. So for me, I've been surrounded by hackers since the beginning. So what I see it as something that is mainly because we don't have the biometrics figured out yet. Like we don't have good ways to secure things that are not able to be hacked, and so I just take all these steps that I learned from back then, and I'm very suspicious of everyone. So I'm a very suspicious person because of all the shit I've been through in crypto. So I'm not surprised by all the hacks and everything going on, but I do feel that it is out of control. I think that the space grew so quickly because of the pandemic that all the biometrics and all these things that we should have had figured out, they're going to be figured out in the future, but not right now. So I think the explosion and all the money, basically opened up this door for hackers. They're having a field day right now with all the different phishing scams and such. So I just think everyone's got to be really careful about where they log in and the permissions and stuff until it gets figured out. We need solutions. But anyone else have some ideas on that?
Just use a hardware wallet. Don't keep too much in your hot wallet. Learn how to revoke token permissions. Tools like Etherscan and Revoke Cache can help you do that. And just be sus about, don't click any attachments in your emails. Maybe use a different email when signing up to something. And don't share, just be mindful about how much info you're sharing, I guess, because, a lot of hacks are phishing, spear phishing attempts and just getting someone to click a link. So you just got to kind of be aware of that and do your best, to mitigate that. I guess maybe you could go as far as keeping your valuables or doing your transactions on another PC. But yeah, it just kind of depends what your setup is like. But I never really click any links. If a PDF is sent to me, I don't really open that. You could convert to images, or you could if you had a setup to open it up in a VM or on Cubes OS, like you could do that. Cubes OS uses virtual machines so that even if it's a malicious file, like it'll just be sandboxed and won't affect the whole system. But yeah, just don't fall for stuff. If it's too good to be true, don't just be aware of that.
Yeah, one thing that oh, sorry.
No,
Real
go ahead.
quick.
Sorry.
Yeah, just a method that I've found that works really well and has not had any hacks is the multi-signal safe approach. And you can do this by yourself or with a group of folks, but one way is to have like 3 different wallet addresses. 1 or 2 of these wallets have 0 ETH in there, and they're just used as the actual signer. And you have 1 other ETH address that has ETH to pay the gas costs to like confirm any transfers and things like that, where you can put more of your precious NFTs or store the bulk of your crypto funds. That's a pretty safe way. And again, like in the history of Gnosis Safe, which is again like no one is super old in this space, but there's been 0 hacks that way. You can also incorporate like hardware wallets in there as a signer address as well, to even make that more super safe from that multi-sig approach. So yeah, Gnosis Safe is something really cool to look into, and I'll drop links in here real quick for whoever asked.
Also, here's a question for the panel. Let's look at this from another perspective. Instead of thinking about scammers and hackers, what about government entities or conglomerates or corporations that are asking for KYC and you not knowing what's happening with that data, if they're selling it, or what if these entities are then hacked or compromised? What are your thoughts on these situations, giving up your information this way, and then in a roundabout way, you become exploited?
That would be terribly unfortunate. I just really don't like the precedent and practice of KYCing for something you don't even know what it's for. I think it's just, I was really upset at people kind of selling out on their principles like that.
Exactly my thoughts. That I read a lot on Twitter, and I remember seeing people, just masses of people just giving up and saying, well, if it's going to moon, then, I'll give it. That's the general vibe that I see right now, is that people will just hand over everything, all their KYC, everything, in exchange for the promise of something mooning monetarily. That's what I see. I mean, I can't help it. That's what I see all the time. So the people I think the majority right now, that's their opinion. That's what it seems to be, where it's going. And so, I don't know, maybe someone has a different opinion on that, but I see people just handing everything over. And I think that extends also to decentralization in general. Like, I think we have to, as a group, we have to actually get more vocal and out there, because otherwise, I think the companies will just, with proprietary everything, I think that they will start to take over, if they haven't already, really. I see that happening. Because people, their desire to have everything moon is greater than realizing that maybe they're giving up everything. They don't know that they are, because that's kind of how we were all raised in the other world, the Web 2 world. Maybe that's my dystopian view, though.
To piggyback off of that, here's one final question. Maybe this will make things a little bit more streamlined and more straight to the point. how valuable is your personal information? Is personal information valuable? Is it worth more than what you're attempting to acquire?
I think it depends on your current situation. If you look at probably most people still have 9 to 5s and they're not making shit for money. So for them, like everything is in, it depends on where you're at. Like I don't do a 9 to 5. I work for myself. And so I have more privilege than a person that has to work and make shit money. So when you're not making that much money, yeah, you're going to give everything over to get free. I think people want to be free. They want to have their own time again. And I think the masses don't have free time to really to feel like they're free. And so I think that's more of the question.
To jump in here, I think that, of course it depends upon the kind of data, but for a very real and tangible example, here in the United States, Roe v. Wade, which determines a woman's or person's right to their reproductive freedom, it was leaked that case is going to be overturned. And so if we think about, here in the United States, Apple has a deal with the United States government where they make data available to government entities as well as government contractors, organizations like Palantir. So this means that women or menstruating people who are using their phones and free apps on their phones to track their menstrual cycle, that data is now readily available to the United States government. And if the government decides that things like abortions are criminal, this is a serious concern. And so your data sovereignty in many cases is your physical sovereignty. So the extent to which you value your physical safety, I think, is the extent to which we should consider and value our data.
That's a good point. I mean, crypto is a pretty adversarial environment, and your inventory / bank account is pretty public. So if you ever leak any of your personal info, you're at risk. Your family's at risk for, actual threats. There's crazy people out there.
And the crazy people is the government getting in our pants and telling us what we can and cannot do. Obviously, this is a serious problem right now. I'm glad you brought that up, Evin. This is a massive deal. Just ready to fight this shit.
Totally. And so when we think about, our ownership of ourselves, we should think of self-ownership as self-care. If we respect ourselves, we will care for ourselves in the same way that we respect and care for our physical bodies. Our digital manifestations of self, deserve that same level of autonomy, respect, and rights.
I think that's, that make that moment.
We're on the same wavelength, man. Go ahead.
Exactly. I know Jin's got to bounce. We're at the top of the hour. I just want to thank all of our panelists, Jin, Evin, Stella, for jumping up here, chopping it up, answering questions from everyone, the whole audience for asking some really, really serious, thoughtful questions. I think we may have recorded this to kind of put out there. We knew that we were going to talk about a bunch of valuable stuff. So thank you all for joining in, having this experiment with us to see how a panel will go at the WIP. I think it was fun. And before we do anything else and transition to the afties, I'll pass the mic to Rizzle to wrap up and see if there's anything that we missed.
Definitely get your PO-op from Carolina Dust. She just made a message. I got to get mine as well. The Ritual weekly group PO-op. We're going to kick it over to Paradox to do a group shot over here on the roof. So don't head out. We're going to do this group shot real quick, kick it over to Show for the afties, and call it a day. So Paradox. What do you want us to do here? We're gonna jump or jump off, or we're in sort of treacherous territory. Does anyone have a link? If anyone else who's like still around and has not popped in, yeah, jump into OM. Hang on one sec. We'll get a link up in here for you guys somewhere.
Can you hear me okay, Rizzle?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Okay, cool. Good for me to jump on this? Okay, cool. Right, hey guys, I'm Paradox, the WIP crew videographer. Going to keep this nice and simple this week. We're going to do a group photo, and I want to do a power jump in unison for everybody. So I'm going to give everyone sort of 10 seconds to get to the roof. A quick way just to get to the roof is to close your browser and just click the link, which should take you straight to the top, which is what I'm doing right now. Okay, cool. Let's get into position.
Maybe give folks a couple more seconds. I think let's try to maximize.
On the roof real quick. I just fell off the roof anyway.
Hey guys, also, sorry, so anyone who tweets from this and tags WIP Meetup and Meme Explorers, I will tip 30 men also, so we can get some distribution for this.
Oh yeah. Thanks.
Oh, we got some mem. We got $300 in BTC on the line. If we can hit 50, folks, jump in. Let's make this an epic picture.
Excellent.
Which way we jump? We jump up, Skinny. Come on, dude.
So let's do 2 jumps today. So the first jump we're going to do is literally straight up. So don't press any arrow keys or WASD, otherwise you will fall off the roof. And then when we land, we're going to do a jump, let's say, towards the square, so down towards the trees, but we'll do that second. So Matt or Rizzle, do you want to do the honors for the jump straight up? Oh, we've just lost somebody. Rizzle, you around to do the honors?
Yeah, man, I'll do the honors. So just so you know, I jumped up and I went into orbit and never came down and had to refresh. So if we're gonna do 2 subsequent things, we might just need to give people 20 seconds to refresh in between. But I'm ready. Everyone in world who's going to be in world, we're going to launch into orbit on the count of 3. For some reason, when I do this, it goes notoriously bad. So everyone pay attention. 1, 2, 3, jump. I'm in orbit. Oh, there's someone else up here with me. How come everyone can jump higher than I can?
Yeah, what the hell? I barely jumped high. Everyone else is going way higher.
All right, I actually landed back down on the ground. So maybe, hey, what's up, WG Meets? And landed on my head.
So for everyone that also landed on the ground, should a quick refresh? Jump back on the roof?
It seems like everyone, I gotta switch back to Discord chat. Are people still good? Oh no, we gotta.
People are falling off already.
Okay, cool. Let's give everyone 10 seconds to come back. Let's see if people are pinging back in, and then we'll do one final jump.
Back in.
Excellent. What I may do is I may jump down towards the square, and then you guys are going to jump down towards me. So I'm just going to jump in position quickly. Okay. Is everybody back on the roof, populated? Let's get this shot ready.
Seems like it. I'm in the center here, about to try and land right on your head if I can. Where are you?
I'm right at the back of the square. So if guys just aim for anywhere in the main square is fine. So let's give it a go. On your count, Rizzle.
Whoever lands on Paradox's head or gets the closest to it gets us something. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, jump.
Nice.
Wait, was I not supposed to jump? I went straight up.
It's just
it's hard to control, on computer. I don't know why.
I don't know if this shot is quite depressing. Just a lot of people jumping off the building.
You should have just ran off the top of the building.
Yeah. Do you want to do one more, or should we call it there and throw it to the afties?
Let's do it. Let's do one more. We'll try and run off hold hands and run off the building together in some sick avatar destruction.
So I have no idea who's up there now, so we'll go on your count whenever everyone's back up.
Okay, I gotta refresh, but I'm almost there. All right, looks like we got a bunch of people up here. Okay, everybody to the ledge. If everybody was jumping off the side of a building, if all your friends were jumping off the side of a building, would you do it too? All right, ready? Everyone get to the ledge. Who's going to attempt this with us? WG Meets just came out of the orbit. Stellabelle. All right, cool. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Walk off the cliff.
Nice. Oh, there's people coming down nearly towards me. Nice.
Oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Awesome. Let's see who the closest person was. I don't know. Easy got pretty close. All right, cool. I'm going to call it there. So, guys, thank you very much. So these videos, so I edit a video every week for the WIP Meetups, like a little update. That gets posted on Rizzle's Twitter, so keep an eye out for that. That's everything from me. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks. Paradox out.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paradox. There's a distinct lack of theme songs this week. We didn't have the VIP song in the beginning. Paradox didn't have his song. We got Show Song. Can we at least queue up Show Song for his bit? Is that too late notice? We took a week off, in between season 29F and 29G or whatever we're at. We'll see. We'll put Dragonade on the spot. We'll give him 10 seconds to queue it up.
Is this thing on?
Got it.
Yeah! It's time for the FTs! Hot takes, opinions, thoughts. Let's go!
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, mute your microphones, adjust your speakers, yeah. Mute yourself, yeah. Yeah. Mute yourself, yeah. Yeah, whip film. Whip film. Whip film. Whip fam. You know, we're gonna make this shit short and sweet today. It's gonna be quick as fuck. You know why? Because I leave you alone for one day, right? And you go crazy. You go fucking crazy. First off, I'm tired of being right. I'm tired of being correct. Hey, team, WIP crew members, are you tired of being correct? You know? Yeah, right. Yeah. Aren't you fucking tired? So tired of being right. We are right. All the damn. I'm sick of this shit. How many times did we say that DigiPhysical was going to be the future? How many times? We literally said it years ago. We said this shit. Oh my god, we said it. We said, hey man, they're figuring out how to blend wearables with real life things. We know people who've done it already. We got motherfuckers. We got the normie corporations that do fashion that are not inclusive, that try to block you out. They're saying, oh, okay, this is the new thing. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to add a fucking microchip to a hoodie, and then, oh my god, this is the wave, the brand new wave. Buy into this thing. We're going to launch it. Make $1 million off of it. We said this. Now look, an old Nike patent with no chance of seeing the light of day, because Nike can't fail. right? But they have people who work there who have visions too, because they get paid so much. Please mute your microphone. You'll be able to speak afterwards. Thank you. An old Nike patent with no chance of seeing the light of day was commandeered by a Metaverse company. And now Nike officially has its foot in the door. Its foot and its sneakers inside of the crypto house. You see what I did there? And it only took 4 months, plus a nearly impossible set of creepypasta puzzles based off of 2001: A Space Odyssey and its monoliths that needed to be solved in order to reveal this thing that will have VR, AR technology attributed to it. It will have DNA like they were talking about during the panel, right? And a breeding aspect of sorts, a la Pokemon, a la CryptoKitties. This thing, this entree into this house that we call crypto, not to be confused with a fashion house that may compete with Nike, even though Nike isn't a fashion house from Italy or France or whatever the fuck. These motherfuckers walked into your house with their sneakers on instead of taking them off at the door. All I know is that they did it better than Adidas. Speaking of impossible things, impossible, I leave you alone with fam for 1 hour, and you forget to double check. All you motherfuckers forgot to double check a minting contract. I blame you. I blame each and every single one of you in the voice channel and in the general channel right now. You forgot to double check a minting contract because you should all know solidity by now at this point. And you wound up locking $35 million in ETH into the same contract. You locked $35 million into a fucking ETH contract? You were lazy and you forgot to change a 0 into a 1, and you weren't able to refund the people who took part in your Dutch auction. All of you, I blame all of you for that shit. How the fuck do you do, like, you had a Dutch auction, you were refunding the difference according to whatever you spent on the PFP from the collection. And not only can you not refund people, you partially refunded people, but you still couldn't refund everybody, and you couldn't claim the funds. So you basically did the shit for free. So shout out to all the crypto artists and the like who were doing shit for free without expecting remuneration or royalties or any other like. Well, actually, you can't even recoup what you lost through royalties on OpenSea or LooksRare or anything. But you locked up $35 million in ETH in a contract. Why? Why? Well, not even why. It's like this. How about this? It doesn't matter that the dev team was warned that there is a issue and they ignored it. There was an issue with the contract, they ignored it. It doesn't matter that the Dutch auction and idea to refund was totally unnecessary. You could have avoided this. You could have avoided this. It doesn't matter that this made the news, right? What does matter is that the artist behind the collection now has to claim ownership of these funds, right? Unless there's some legalese or document stating that they're not held liable, the devs are held liable, right? You're claiming $35 million in profit, and then you also have to claim that you lost it, right? You have to claim this shit to an entity like the SEC or the IRS that do not understand the nuances associated with this fuck up. Oh, you made $35 million in cryptocurrency. Where is it? It's stuck. What do you mean it's stuck? Do you still have control? Well, we had control, but then we lost control. How did you lose control? Someone get control. I don't know how to do it. Well, I'm sorry, man. You had 35 million capital gain. You're paying on the gain. How scary is that shit? I started shitting in my own pants, and I'm not even associated. Think about this for whoever who's off put by the volume of my voice. or the amount of words that I'm using per minute. This was a scary thing that happened 2 weeks ago. Imagine you design these awesome NFTs, right? And people buy it. It would have been successful. You're like, yeah, man, we're gonna take a shot. Oh no, wait, hold up. We can't get the money out to, and you're like, well, you can't get the money. What do you mean you can't get the money? Does someone know how to get the money out just so we can get shit out and then we can click? So it's just stuck there. It's just stuck. The only escape for that artist is possibly to go into space. See what I did there? Maybe escaping out into space where there's no jurisdiction by the SEC or the IRS. Maybe you may have a chance. Lastly, I leave you alone with fam for 1 minute. I left you alone for 1 minute and you launch the quote unquote biggest, largest, hugest, massivest, legendariest land sale ever. And you break the internet. Worse than Kim Kardashian's soft cheeks 7 years ago, where she balanced a champagne glass that was full because it was empty, because the glass can't be full. The glass can't be empty. It always is fucking full. She balanced it on her soft cheeks. You turn off the lights on the second biggest blockchain. You tell us that the exorbitant gas fees are a you problem in a tweet. Not a me problem, it's a you problem. And because you are the problem with fam, you lost your own $30-something million. Again, this fucking number keeps popping up. $30-something million in gas fees. Because you chose to fucking pay this shit.
$150 million, actually.
Mute your microphone, you hold up, you had your shot to speak. You should have spoke up when it happened. You should have spoke up when it happened with fam. You had your chance to speak. No. I left you alone. And you chose to, when the gas fees were up to 7,000 something gwei, you chose to press the fucking button. It's a you problem, not a me problem. So me and we are going to make our own blockchain. And we wrote it in a tweet. Sorry, we turned off the lights. You know what? Just fuck it. We'll just go and we'll make some lights and electricity in our own fucking world. You know, you stay on this side. You stay over here on this side, and we'll go over there to some other place on that side, because we are the biggest, largest, hugest, massivest, legendariest conglomerate in the space, and we must not fail. WIP fam, that was a lot of words. I'm going to leave you with this. It almost makes you forget about the Vayner Sports gas fees debacle. Do you remember? Hey, it was the biggest one before all of these other things. We were all here, but we weren't here for that. But it almost makes you forget about the Vayner Sports gas fees debacle. What the fuck is up? I'm your host, show. You already know. If you don't know, god damn it, you fucking know now. You had a lot of things happen. You had a special panel of people telling you about special things, opening things up instead of keeping them closed. Were you listening? Were you paying attention? Did you leave the voice channel? Maybe you did, but for those that are here, what the fuck is up? This is the Afties. This is the section. This is the portion where you share your opinion on all the cool ass shit you just heard in the form of a hot take or an opinion. Don't be alarmed by my loud voice. You can adjust the volume at any time. All right. This is very different than KYCing, where you give up your information, you give up your control. You have control. You can adjust the volume and still engage. You don't have to engage by giving up your fucking KYC and then expecting some kind of payoff. The payoff is you phrasing your opinion in the form of a hot take or an opinion. You can speak up and share your opinion about what was just talked about. We'll keep it super simple. Unmute your microphone. We have presenters presenting some presentable things. Thoughts?
It was 150 million that was lost due to gas fees during that land sale, if not more.
Oh, so now you know the numbers.
Yeah.
Now you know the. So why did you pay it?
I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No,
It's
I
a
didn't.
you problem. It's a you. It's all your fault. It was just like I didn't see that energy when Rizzle was attacking the marble cards bot.
Bish, stop blaming me. I did nothing.
Listen,
He didn't do a damn thing.
yes,
He
did.
did.
You all did. You all. I was listen. You all did it, and I was like, "What are you doing? 7,000 Gwei, right?" Like you all did it. Look in the contract. There were screenshots. Like, I'm referencing all kinds of shit here. Just if you were listening, then you know each thing I'm referencing without me even having to say, because they were the biggest things that happened in the space. In one contract, the devs in their Discord server, someone said, "Hey man, there's an issue here. You sure you want to press go? You want to press start? You want to press proceed?" They were like, "Ha ha ha." And they fucking did it, and they're like, "Oh my god, what's going on? What do we do?" And then on top of it, somebody hacked their contract. It was two things popping off on that contract and on the spaceship helmet contract thingy, right? You'll know what I'm talking about. I don't have to say the name, right? Where you did it. What you locked yourself out and locked yourself in. I'm not saying you should know.
Say the name.
You should know, and also just like, and then also with the 7,000 in Gwei, right? Well, I don't even know the number. He said 100 million thousand, whatever the fuck Nate was saying. I'm not. There's just too many numbers. It's a large number. The numbers are so large that it's scary as shit. They burned so much ETH in 1.5 months. Then oh my god, I don't even know, and the price still didn't go up. How can you sit here and say, "Oh my god, this thing, like I need to be part of the ecosystem. This is a no-brainer. This is a winner. This is gonna happen. We need to do this. I need to get this thing because I know it's gonna moon. It's gonna make me generational wealth. I'm gonna press this button and lose generational wealth in order to get generational wealth." And with sad.
This is exactly what I was thinking. And then, did you read all the tweets of the people? There was a guy that his baby was born that night, and he said, I went on my computer to a different room while my son was born. I missed it, and I also lost 2 ETH. He lost the chance of a lifetime to see his son born.
I will piggyback off of that.
The computer losing gas to this ridiculous thing.
I will piggyback off of that. So for context, what's being referenced is there were a number of copy pasta tweets and texts being released. That was one of them, that people were missing out on the births of their children's. I'm pluralizing everything, fuck it, because I'm just blaming everybody. Some people, they got there's another one where it's floating around where someone got divorced because they threw something at a wall and it broke. They were trying to show the amount of emotion that was being conveyed after realizing that they spent money that immediately tanked in price. Someone spent 15 ETH right out the gate, and then the shit sank to 4.9 ETH at one moment. Then it shot back up to about 6, 7, and then it sank back down. What are you doing? What are you doing? And this is rhetorical. This is a rhetorical question. I don't know shit. But I expect you to know shit. Thoughts?
Well, shit.
In regards to Nike finally making their way into space, digiphysical, right? There are a couple of other companies and organizations. This is a roundabout way of me getting to what the the presenters were talking about. Trust me, this isn't just some tirade about something unrelated to what we do here. Hello. We knew that Digiphysical was going to come. Nike's chief competition that isn't a fashion house based in France or Italy or whatever, right? Nike's chief competition in streetwear fucked up by collaborating with the same people behind the 7,000 Gwei, whatever the fuck, or at least a representative of them, you know, and they failed terribly while Nike kicked ass, but there's still no attack. My point is there are also famous Web 2 founders, creators, and things of that nature who have created. They've been hiding in plain sight here, listening to everything that everybody's been saying, and they released NFT membership cards that allow you, right, to take part in their thing. They gave it some random non-threatening name for their project in order to hide the fact that they're trying to get in on Digiphysical products by adding chips to like fucking computer chips to physical items. You know, that should give you a hint as to what I'm talking about. They're trying to hop in on this, and they're like, "Yeah, this is brand new. No one's talking about it. This is brand new." No, exactly how I just said it with that weird voice and the weird energy. But this is brand new. Nobody's talking about it. This is how they're pitching shit in elevators. How they're pitching shit in fucking boardrooms with fucking billionaires and venture capitalists. This is brand new. Nobody's talking about it. I imagine this is how whoever the fuck pitched Meta to Mark Zuckerberg, right? Before, I mean, like you needed something in order to convince this guy to fucking change everything. This is brand new. Nobody's talking about it. It's not brand new. People were talking about it so much. They were like, yeah, let's copy it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Thoughts?
We've been doing it for a while.
Have you been doing it for a while? Have you been wearing a check mark on your body?
No.
Then you haven't been doing it. Do you see what I did? Nike has done it. All these other sneaky ass Web 2 founders hiding, creating DAOs and shit. They're trying to do it, but they can't do it because, well, they're gonna do it because you're gonna fucking pay over 7,000 in Gwei and fucking you know who has generational wealth now and who's gonna be able to afford these Digiphysical items, right? That are gonna be overpriced, just like the fucking land sale last week, right? You know who's gonna be able to afford it? No, Ethereum validators who aren't validating the new blockchain, but old Ethereum miners have generational wealth. You're welcome.
Wait. No.
You're welcome.
With AIP 1559, the fees mostly get burned instead of going to miners.
Do you understand, right, that the miners still received tips, not as much as they did before EIP 1559, right? But the difference, though, is that this is unprecedented. Even with a slashing of the amount of tips or whatever the fuck that they get, the tip level was over the threshold. They made millions.
I feel
You're
like
welcome.
Thousands.
They've made fucking the miners, man. Do you know they fucking went to strip clubs? They went fucking nuts. And Infura developers, mind you, right? Infura miners, right? Who are fucking corporate as fuck, right? Do you know the cycle of that money? Thanks to the land sale, let me paint a picture for you. Infura, right? The default. What is it? We're the open metaverse peeps, right? the what is it? RPI, RPG, RPF, RPC. Infura is the default for MetaMask. You wanted to front run everybody else. You increase the amount of GUI, right? The tip price, that money goes to Infura. Infura's money, right, is under Consensus. Consensus, who runs what? MetaMask, who has a hand in what? Decrypt.co, the fucking news platform, whose money goes to JP Morgan, right? JP Morgan. The money went back upwards. You know who's partying? Doing all the shrooms in the fucking world in the C-suite? JP. I can't even speak. I'm scaring the shit out of people. They're running out of the voice channel. What am I doing? Do you understand?
No.
I can't take it anymore. So you know what I'm going to do? I need to go for a jog. I need to go for a jog in an open metaverse. So I'm going to put on my Nike Dunks that have an AR VR filter that allows me to look like a demon or an angel or a reptile or an undead person or a Murakami or something else. I'm gonna put on my blue checkmark shorts, right? That are aerodynamic, that have a wick to them, so there's no sweat. A matching Nike hoodie, matching Nike goggles, Nike headband, with a Nike Whoop or Fitbit, wherever the fuck they own, and I'm gonna go out there and run and do it. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming through to this edition to the Appies and the WIP as a whole. Shout out to everybody. Welcome back. Welcome fucking back. WIP fam, welcome back. Shout out to the entire leadership team here at meme.com. What the fuck is the deal, homies? Shout out to the WIP crew. You know I love each and every single one of you. And yeah, WIP fam, come on. Just come on. The next thing that's gonna happen, hey, I hate to say it, I already said a lot already, but I'm just gonna leave everybody with this. The next thing that's gonna happen is open metaverse that's not so open. KYC anyone? KYC anyone? Thank you so much, everybody. Much love, and I will see you later.
Bye.
Woohoo! The WIP is back, and we will be over in Token Smart in 1 hour 30 minutes for the cipher. So come on over, have some fun, jump on the mic.